To Business Today, I'm Siddharth Zarabi, and now with me here at the World Economic Forum in Davos is Arvinder Singh Sahni, the chairman of Indian Oil. Arvinderji, thank you very much for joining us here today. We always end up speaking here at the World Economic Forum because energy security and geopolitics and global capital is all very interconnected. Before we get into some specifics, I just want your sense about the key theme that you are picking up in discussion, offline and online, with other global CEOs, because this year's Davos gathering is a record turnout, and CEOs from all across the world, from energy, the crude oil complex, everybody is here. What is the key couple of messages that you have picked up?
Thank you, Siddharth, for inviting me. This time the theme is very much towards energy. The energy per se, not limited to crude, not limited to oil products, petrol and diesel, gasoline that we talk. It is a very rounded conversations that are happening today. I was just in a round table right now before this interview. There were 3-4 big CEOs. They were there with me, and all of us were talking about which is the best way of having an alternate source of energy. Like today we are talking of renewables, but they have their own issues and limitations. We were talking of biosources. They are a preferred area for some of the countries, including India, Brazil, and to a large extent US also. We have that capability of bringing up large-scale bioenergy plants and bioenergy facilities. So these are some of the areas wherein people are a bit limited in their enthusiasm towards green hydrogen and e-fuels because they perceive it as very expensive. Although for India and for Indian Oil, we see, especially for India, I'll say at a very broader level, all these are doable because we are so much dependent of outside energy, so much dependent on outside crude oil, that today we are spending $130 billion per year as a country for importing crude oil. So all these solutions are workable for India. If we do certain more research, if we do certain more R&D, if we start building more and more capacities of these renewable and newer forms of energy, the costs are going to come down. And as they come down, India adoption will be very easy, and then that will bring down that billions of dollars that we are spending for crude oil. That is the driving force for country like India.
I want to focus on crude oil from a much bigger perspective. One of the things that I feel is likely to happen is with the kind of agenda that the United States, as one of the largest consumers of energy, alongside China and India, along with other countries in the world, about fossil fuels. There was an era till recently that fossil fuels was a very bad word. But fossil fuels, now there is realization that you have to have an equitable mix. You cannot just throw fossil fuels or turn off the switch suddenly. Does that help bring in capital and, more importantly, exploration focus into finding new sources of crude oil, particularly in the Indian context, because one got the sense that perhaps attention has shifted completely to the renewable space?
I think that tide is already turning. Although large investments have not been visible up till now, but that the tide has already started turning. People, the big oil majors of the world, they have started realizing that constant investments will be needed for exploration in order to maintain the present status quo. Leave aside increasing or decreasing it. But till the time when these renewables, till the time these newer energies, till the time these so-called cleaner energies, they come into fore, they become more adaptable, they become so affordable and available to the people. By that time, till that time, we will have to have these fossil fuel operating. And for a country like India, I can again go back to Indian context. In Indian context, I don't see that next 10, 15, 20 years, this demand of the fossil fuel or diesel and petrol and LPG and aviation fuel, which is up till now growing at a rate of say 3, 4, 5% per annum, it may stop growing at a certain point of time, 10 years down the line or 15 years down the line, but it is not going to dip very significantly.
So you are saying peak oil is, in terms of consumption, not production.
In terms of consumption.
Is 15 years away?
Yeah, for India, for countries like India, because we have to meet the energy requirements of a growing economy. Today, Indian economy is growing at a phenomenal rate, and it has been growing for last 5, 7,
And
10
without
years.
energy,
Without energy, you can't grow. And then more adding to it, today the manufacturing percentage, the percentage of manufacturing in my GDP is around 16, 17, 18%. For a economy to sustain this kind of growth going forward, this percentage of manufacturing in the GDP is going to grow beyond 25%, 26%. And as this manufacturing percentage grows, energy requirements will grow. Today, wherever I stand, I know the numbers. It is 1,000 million tons of oil equivalent is the total energy need of India today. In next 10 to 15 years, this is going to at least double. If I am growing at 6 to 7% per annum, my GDP is growing. In next 10 to 15 years, by 2040, I will be sharing at 2,000 million tons of oil equivalent energy requirement for the country. So where will that energy come from? So this
will all of it continue to be imported, or do you foresee
no, I'm talking
more
of energy. I'm
okay,
talking of a very
complete
broad
energy, not
energy.
just crude oil.
It can be coal, it can be nuclear, it can be oil, it can be gas, it can be renewable, it can be bio, it can be anything. But the point I'm trying to make is, if I take out the present energy basket, or if I take some of the components of the present energy basket, then I have to double up. I will have to make more efforts
on the
to
replacements.
meet the energy requirements for replacement, plus to meet the additional requirements to fuel the economy. So that is going to be a very big task.
Massive challenge.
Massive.
You know, I want you to put on your oil technocrat hat and not in your position as the Indian Oil chairman. I've studied about how the American refining industry has performed over the last few years. And people ask this question in the context of Venezuelan crude, which is a certain kind of grade. And to process and refine it, you need a significant amount of investment, which has not been made in the United States in the recent past. Assuming that Venezuelan crude will come in to the global crude oil supply mix in significant quantities, what, Mr. Sahni, will that mean for headline prices globally of crude oil?
It is a very difficult thing to say, but from that, as you said, technically, I'll talk as an engineer, as
Yes, absolutely.
chemical engineer doing the refinery business. I'll say it is not an impossible task to process those crudes. World has processed those crudes earlier also. It is nothing rocket science. American refineries can do that. Other refineries can also do that.
Indian refineries?
Some of them can do that in admixes. It is doable. It is nothing to do. But at the same time, I understand that it is not so easy that these crudes will come to market very quickly, because lots of investments will be needed for taking out that crude and bringing it to the market and coming to our shores. It will take, my assessment, it will take a lot of time. So at least we are not very much excited or very much not excited about that being here.
But then what about the mix, our crude oil supply mix? Because like you pointed out, we are import dependent to a very large extent.
Today, sir, we are, as Indian Oil, I have 10 refineries, and luckily or somehow by design, we have capability to process almost any kind of crude in the world. It can be limited by percentages, but I can process almost any kind of crude that is available in the world market. Similarly, there are other private refiners in the country and other PSU refiners in the country who can also process most of the crudes that are available in the international markets. Because we have designed our refineries for meeting these kind of
and we have always had multiple supplies. We have never been dependent on one geography.
We always had multiple sources, and we have designed ourselves to get those multiple sources so that we are not not bound by a particular geography or a particular source. So today we are, earlier, like 5 years back or 8 years back, we were importing crude from around 27 geographies.
So are we unique in that sense that we are, in terms of our capacity, we used to and we are able to refine the sweetest grade of crude, Farsi crude, to the heaviest sour grades?
Yeah, we can do that. All of us, my northeast refineries, like in Assam, they were built for the Assam crude that was produced locally there in Digboi and in Begoingaon, and those refineries were designed for that. But over the period of time, we have converted them to meet the requirements of the internationally available crude basket. And our newer refineries, some of them in East Coast like Paradeep and in Panipat in northern India, they are good to process any crude that can be
Let
made.
me now ask you about your own outlook with regard to global crude oil prices. We are on the top of 2026. What can you tell us about your assessment of how global crude oil prices are likely to perform?
Crude oil prices today are being driven by so many global issues.
Geopolitical
Factors, global issues. Each geopolitical incident has its bearing on that dollar per barrel. So, but if we take them out, if we take the wars out, if we take the disturbances out, today the supply is not an issue. Today, the supply of crude oil in the international market is not an issue.
In previous crisis, Mr. Sani, pricing has become an issue. So I appreciate your point that supplies is not an issue.
This time, supplies are not an issue at all. If these disturbances subside, then we will certainly see a cooling down in the prices of the crude. Today, it is running at 64, but for the better part of last 6 months, you must have observed that they were below 60 or near about 60. So that is the natural space where I see that the crude oil will be there. But more importantly, beyond crude oil, the cracks are more important for me. As a refiner, as a business person, the cracks are more important. And cracks today are decently placed. They are not fantastic, but we can't complain also. They are in a decent phase right now.
What does it mean for your own accounts really? Can you offer us any outlook or guidance that you may have shared publicly in the past with regard to your own margins in the evolving crude pricing environment?
We are about to declare our quarterly results.
So let's leave that. I don't
want to talk about it.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I can say that whatever has been publicly told is that whatever may be the crude prices, whatever may be the margins, I have to develop my company. I have to work on efficiencies in my company. I have to work on the supply chains. I have to work on how I can reduce my cost of operation and how I can reduce my energy consumption, my CO2 emissions, and how I can deliver the product to the customer doorstep at the minimum cost of production. That is the effort that we are taking in last 9 months or 1 year, and that has given us substantial results. I think I don't want to deliver the number because of sensitive issues, but I can give you that much confidence that this company is delivering results in terms of multi-dollars, I don't want to name the figure, but it is going to give you a very good sense of profitability improvement from Indian Oil going forward.
That's a very good point, but this is not a results conversation, and let's state that on the record.
Yes.
We don't want to sort of cross regulations, but there's also one very consumer-friendly impact that has played out for 3 years plus, regardless of volatility in crude oil prices. Consumers have been insulated. How long can that continue?
It will continue to a very large extent because now things are better. We are in a much better space because we have crossed very bad phases in terms of crude prices, in terms of
double of what it's currently.
Yes, and but what I'm saying is crude prices. It's a very simplistic view that the crude prices are $100, then the product prices will be so much, and if it is 60, yes, then absolutely. It will be. This is not so simple.
Yes,
there are other means of deciding these things. The product tracks are most important. How the supply chains are going in the international market, that is important. How the freights are happening. Today, freights are going through the roof. Today, the VLCC rates are very high. So, those are the factors which have to come into picture, and then we should have something with us to facilitate the capex. Because ultimately, if I don't do the capex today, if I don't do the capital expenditure today, what will I do tomorrow? How will the growth come? So for that growth and for giving the healthy return to my shareholders, I have to have something in the kitty. So that is what is driving this phase. We are in a decent space right now, and I think there is nothing to worry for the consumers. Actually.
One final question.
Yeah.
If there were to be any, strategic level call taken at the level of the government with regard to sourcing of crude from a particular geography, and the discount window has also narrowed, how would Indian oil meet up to that shift in policy and decision making were it to take place, especially with account to Russian crude?
I think I can skip that question for now because of obvious reasons. Let us see how things pan out because a lot of uncertainty is there in the global market. We should not commit to any particular line of thinking. That is my only
Absolutely.
submission.
No,
I can say that.
no, that's a fair point, and that's why. But also, it would only be fair, and perhaps our viewers will also expect a response from you on that subject. But it's very clear that this is a matter that is not just related to one single company.
Yes.
Arvinder Singh Sawhney, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. This conversation happened before the results, so there was a certain maryada that we could not cross. But Indian Oil is not just a company which is owned by India, but it's more importantly the lifeline of the Indian economy, along with other oil majors that we have. So I wish you all the very best for continuing the good work that you do. Viewers, with that, it's a wrap on this conversation with another Chief Executive Officer from India that we've been having here at Davos. We'll come back with more. Until then, goodbye.